Oh, maybe I'm not. Okay. Well, if I wasn't streaming for that first part, I am now, so welcome. I must have I hit the stream start button, and I think I just closed out of the window too quick. So, welcome to this stream, if that wasn't picking up there. And so I'm just jumping back into this piece I started last week, and just going through some of these details. Basically, all I did there in the 7 minutes that I thought I was streaming there was I changed the color balance a little bit for the background, and I'm just sort of reworking the mountain details a little bit, and so that's about it. I'm just kind of diving right in here. As I was sort of saying, I sometimes don't really know where to start when I'm sort of resuming a piece like this, and usually the simplest answer is just to start painting. So that's what I'm doing here. And hey Zizzy and Vera and Sam, nice to see you here. I apologize for the delay in the stream. As I just mentioned, I must have not hit the button quite right, but here we are, continuing this piece from last week. We had some really great input from people then, and this piece was sort of conceived out of a few different ideas. We did a little spin of the Wheel of Fate, and determined that there was going to be a lava monster, and then I decided to include Jose's water dragon as well. So it's kind of where we're at here, and I'm just starting to rework this mountain a little bit because it wasn't quite working for me with the lava the way it was. I was saying I've been working on a similar piece on Procreate with this dragon and this warrior with this glowing blue sword, which is pretty fun. And I learned a lot about, how lava and smoke and all this stuff works while I was working on that one. So it's kind of nice. I can start applying some of those skills here as well. Have I ever used the program Medibang Paint Pro to paint? No, I have not. I actually have not even heard of that. The ones I am I pretty much just use Photoshop and Procreate. Yeah, I don't know too much about the alternatives. I get a lot of questions about like Clip Studio and that kind of thing, which I think is free. I think I don't know. For me, Photoshop is definitely worth it. I pay $10 a month. It's basically just like a Netflix subscription, and I actually don't have a Netflix subscription, so that it kind of works out well. It's a bit of a trade-off there, but yeah, I mean it's a really great program, and it's sort of, I think it's just an industry standard at this point. So for me, knowing that this is the kind of work I do professionally, it's good to have that on my resume and to be really familiar with this program. Make a movie, huh? Well, I've actually been making quite a few YouTube videos recently. Actually, I think I've made 4 this week. I released 3 of them, and I've got another one coming tomorrow, and then I do at least a new one every Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. I've been having quite a lot of fun with that. I've been using Adobe Premiere for that, which unfortunately is a bit more expensive than Photoshop, but it's almost, I think it's gonna be worth it. I was using this free program, VSDC, for a while. Could not use. I don't want to use the history eraser, thank you. I was using VSDC for a while, and it's actually pretty horrible. I didn't realize how bad it was till I tried Adobe Premiere, and I've just been having a lot of fun with that, doing all these fun effects, and it's just such a better program. So yeah, I'm a big Adobe fan. Their products are pretty high quality, and so I'm not sponsored by them in any way, by the way, but that's just my personal take. This is always so much fun, just messing around with all these different clouds and smoke and stuff like that. I might even bring out some photo textures later on to give some texture and realism to some of these backgrounds, because that can be kind of cool for scenes like this. Yes. You know, that's a great premise for a painting, and I might do that. Sounds like a lot of fun. The Necromancer Warlock one. It's one of the great things about doing these live streams. There's never a shortage of ideas, and often things that I just wouldn't necessarily think up on my own. So I appreciate that. All right, let's see if we can make some paths. I just want to select the right color here. I want to use a bit of a reddish. Ooh, that's too dark. Tough to get exactly right. That's pretty close. So we can start doing some lava coming down here. And we can always go back over this with like a linear dodge brush or something like that to make the glow even more apparent. It's kind of fun. Could probably dial that up a little bit in some areas, just right off the bat. Get some brighter orange. Just give them a nice sort of glowing core here. And all right, what's next? I think with that in mind, it's actually, I have a better idea of how this mountain is shaped, so I think I can start doing some details here. You notice I just kind of made some random lines there, but those lines are also indications of where there are clefts and changes in the mountain's form, so I'm just gonna build on that information. Probably not right there though. That'll be a shadow. Just want to make sure there's some nice light hitting that side of the mountain. That's sort of, it's almost like the light of the clouds around it is picking up some of the light of the sun, and then from there sort of casting it onto the mountain's face. I guess I don't want to make it too bright, but I also don't want to put too much time and detail into this area because there are more important things to be done around here. And speaking of which, I think let's go back to this dragon because he's pretty underdeveloped right now, and I think I want to start drawing out some details here. So let's make sure he's got an eye and all that fun stuff. I'm actually just switching back to my pencil brush here. By the way, if you want to check out these brushes, you can find them. I believe I've included a link in the description below, and those are available on my website there. A lot of fun. I've actually had a lot of great feedback for those so far, and they're always expanding every time I come up with a new brush or come up with updates for those. I include it with the brush pack, so once you buy it once, you get all those updates, all future brushes with it. So I'm actually working on an update for that pack right now that should include a few more. So, but yeah, all the brushes I'm using here are from that pack. Let's give him a little, let's just give him a little glowing eye for now. He's mad. Levels and tone curves. Yeah, I truthfully mostly just use those for sort of finishing touches, but what I actually just used, I probably use color balance more than I use curves, just because it's a little bit more it's a little bit more simplistic, really. Curves, you can get some really complicated combinations, but with anything, usually I'll just use levels for quick adjustments. If I see there's something that needs to, like if it's in the distance, I'll check here to to see if it's, I don't want there to be too many dark shadow colors or values in there, so I'll kind of check that. But usually I'll just use it at the end, and I'll kind of take these sliders on either end and pull them in to make sure I'm using the full range of values in my painting. And that's not something you have to do for every piece. There's definitely a time and the place for not using your full range of shadows and or highlights, if you're trying to develop a certain mood for a piece, for example. But for the most part, I do try to use that full range, just because that's, it's just going to show up better. It's going to look better. There's going to be more contrast. It'll be quite a bit more eye-catching. So I'm actually going to have to take a quick 2-minute break here. I'm babysitting my sister's dog this weekend, and she just dropped by, so I have to give her her dog back. So I'm just going to pause the mic for just a minute, but stay right here. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Oh, I missed that. I didn't get a chance to show you the dog, but she's very cute. You'll just have to take my word for it. All right, let's get back in here, do these details. Okay. Might be good to pull up some references for this, but I'm kind of thinking about like, can't remember who had this idea, but maybe it was, I think it was Jose. He was talking about using like those seahorses as a reference, the ones with all those little sort of protrusions that float around them, you know. So that's kind of where these these shapes came from. I'm just kind of gonna try to clean all these up a little bit and make sure the lighting is working here. Almost looks like a Pokemon or something with all these things. Let's actually move this one over. Just to give it a bit more flow. All right. Maybe it has a couple protrusions or like a ear or something here. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe that's distracting. Or maybe he just has like those, like a fish, kind of fish-like ear holes. Something like that. That'd be kind of cool. And then I'm sort of bearing in mind there's a reflected light source from underneath here where all this the direct sunlight that's hitting the ground below is gonna give us some reflections up here, so I'm keeping that in mind. I'm actually probably gonna change the angle of the head a little bit if I can, so it's sort of facing more forward, but maybe not. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. I like the lighting there. Lighting's looking really good. Sometimes it's hard to tell until you flip it, but all this nice direct lighting right on his head here. Just adding those quick details around the face is, I think, makes a huge difference, as you can see. Hey there, Jose. Welcome. I was just talking about your dragon idea here, and how you were talking about using one of those seahorses for a reference. I haven't pulled one up yet, but I might. I'm just kind of having fun making him look a bit fishy. Maybe have some cool stripe patterns here. Something like that. It's nice to just do some drawing every now and then. That's one of the great things about the digital medium is you can just switch between drawing and painting whenever you want. Yeah, that's looking really good. Maybe I can have some little shadow spots here. I guess, should he have teeth? Does he have teeth? I mean, might as well, I suppose. Or something. Some kind of beak, maybe. I don't know. I'll probably change that eye at some point, because I don't know. Might be cool to have something a bit more. Maybe I could make it glowing a different color. Or, I don't know. Just shooting ideas out here. I love the way this is looking with all this lighting here. Probably don't want to bring those highlights quite that far up because I don't think the light's really... well, maybe it is. I don't know if it's hitting it at that angle, but we'll see. I mean, even if it is, we can make the choice not to include those highlights there just to draw attention to our focal area, which is the head, if you haven't guessed. I'm just cleaning up some of these edges as well. I want to get some nice clean shapes here. I could always bring out the lasso tool as well, but we'll see if we need it. Can always do a little smudging here as well. Something I haven't been doing so much of lately, but it can be really nice to create some soft edges and pull around some shapes a little bit. Sort of smooth things out. Yes, I did. I worked on the Volcano a little bit. It wasn't quite working for us last time, and as I was saying, I've been working on this other piece on Procreate that incorporates a lot of volcanic activity and lava, and there's this big dragon and everything, and I'm sort of drawing on some of those skills for this one. And I actually learned a lot just in the past week about, creating these kinds of environments. So sort of messing around with that a little bit. Maybe make these a bit more tapered and sort of string-like. This is definitely a legendary Pokemon, for sure. Just even gonna dial up that reflected light even more. Just because it's such a nice effect. Looks very realistic from where I'm standing. Use our little eraser here. Sharpen up this edge. And maybe we can keep creating these little stripes here. It's a little bit of a ridge over here. I don't know where I got this music. It's so over the top. Very nice though. It's not exactly the vibe I'm going for with this piece though. It's more of a victory anthem, like the end of a movie. This is not the end of a movie. This is this is the end of the world. This is where these two titans are gonna... Yeah, there was gonna be a village here that's getting pummeled by everything, but sort of got lost in all the clouds. There we go. That's a bit more atmospheric, a bit more relevant. Let's bring out our mixer brush again. There's a lot of sort of weird uncertainty going on over here, so just want to make sure we're being clean and clear about what we're making. Let's assume maybe that this head is sort of casting a shadow over this way along the rest of its neck, and then this part will just be lit up. Although I feel like it's not quite working. So let's just kind of block the whole thing out and then take it from there. See what we need to do. I think that works pretty well. You know, there are always opportunities where it looks like there should be, you know, a lot of direct lighting or bright highlights or something, but to put them there would sort of wouldn't do the whole painting a service, you know. So sometimes you have to sort of go with your design over what might be realistic there. Like, I've kind of toned down those highlights along the arm, and I think it's, you know, they're being hit with the same light source, but I mean, I might bring them up a little bit, but it looks so much better because there's more focus on the head now. So I may not even change that. I might just keep it at this value, or create like a slight gradient, maybe a few reflective spots where it's sort of glistening, you know. Yeah, I know the village didn't make it very far, but maybe there can be some ruins somewhere, some smoking ruins. That's a lot easier to draw than a village, and I think that's ultimately why I got rid of it. I'm just lazy. Just laziness. But laziness can be your friend when you're painting, because, you know, laziness and efficiency are not too different when it comes down to it. What's that saying? You know, like, how do you I don't know. There's something about hiring lazy workers because they figure out the most efficient way to do things. It was like Microsoft or something. Am I drawing on the wrong layer here? What's going on? This reminds me of Halo, this music. You know, speaking of which, what a fantastic collection of art there is around that game franchise. I just saw a new one from, what's that, Sparth. He's like the head art guy there. Keep seeing his stuff popping up on Instagram. It's so beautiful. All right, I might even actually see. This is not a great example, but an example of when I might use levels during the process. If I just want to select something and change the value a little bit and bring it down and just move that slider over. Just because I don't need, I mean, truthfully, we don't even really need sun to be hitting that area necessarily. We can kind of have this sloping down. And then let's just use our smudge tool to kind of smudge it around. I don't know. That's kind of cool. Like the way his arm is sort of flowing there. So we can maybe go a bit darker in his armpits and create some muscle lines here. Just using that smudge tool again. It's just so useful for just, I mean, like I've said before, in Photoshop and Procreate, it's very different. It serves a very different function. But in Photoshop, it's really useful for actually just pushing around paint and actually creating new shapes, or you know, reforming existing shapes. Whereas in Procreate, it's sort of more about, oh, that's kind of cool. We can have these things kind of casting shadows. That's a cool effect. Yeah, in Procreate, it's more about blending the smudge tool. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah. I know, man. There's just such a high quality of art across the board on those projects. Yeah, I love the Assassin's Creed art, man. That would be quite the gig. This is almost looking kind of anime. All these sort of sharp delineations between different values. I might end up going in and sort of smoothing some of those areas out, but I mean, it looks good. It's clean, you know. Bring some of that reflected light in here. That might be a bit too strong. Let's just keep it. Let's keep it a bit more low key. You don't want to create too much contrast there. Looks like that grass has snuck its way into our dragon layer. It's okay, we can paint it out later. Probably end up merging these layers pretty soon anyway. I just want to make sure I get these details in and separated and everything. It's got some nice muscles here though. It's looking good. This water dragon has been working out. And it shows. You're doing great, buddy. Keep it up. Keep up those bench presses. I don't know what a water dragon would lift to work out. Probably like boats, lighthouses, that kind of stuff. Just guessing. Yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, I feel like I can't say this enough, but working on details like this, working on these key areas, does so much more for your painting, has so much more weight to it than sort of like maybe what I was doing before with tweaking the mountain. I mean, I'm glad I got it to the place where I did, but if I'd continued there, you know, sometimes you can get wrapped up in painting details that really aren't that important. And in fact, the more you work on them, the more distracting and sort of out of sync they become. So, you know, I feel pretty good about the time that I'm putting in here. I'm putting it into the right places. And actually, that's what I talk about in my the other video I just put out, the speed painting one. That's on my channel here. It's I do a 30-minute speed painting, and then I talk a little bit about I walk you through the whole thing in real time, and I talk about ways to make your art process more efficient, essentially. And a lot of that is figuring out, you know, the best places where you're going to get the most value for your input in the piece. And that means figuring out where your focal areas are, and figuring out where your non-focal areas are, and then distributing your sort of details and design choices accordingly. The more detail and focus you put into your focal area, the less it matters what's happening in other areas of your painting. So, you know, as I'm putting all these details into this guy, you might think, well, like, you know, this is going to take forever if you keep going at this pace. And, well, maybe it will, but but I'm putting it into the right place, you know, and that's the key is, you know, I'm developing this focal area. People are just going to be paying attention to this spot right here. And it's not going to matter so much what I do, you know, around those corners where that forest is, or, you know, around those cloudy regions that I've just sort of mashed together. I don't know about all these little spikes down here. Maybe I'll have them stop. Or just turn into nubs. Show a little rib cage line there, and what else? I wonder if maybe all of this should be in shadow. I guess it doesn't have to be completely in shadow, but I don't really want these highlights here. They're going to be blocked out by the monster. I think that'll look better. Maybe it doesn't though. We can have a little bit. We can just have it starting to fade out. So we can just use our eraser to cut out little things here. Probably won't go that far, but our smudge tool, we can do that too. Give them some little tail crests here. Nice. That looks cool. Should have gills? I mean, yeah. I don't know. I feel like these are kind of gills. We can develop this a little more. We can do like a little Shark thing. Maybe not. You can just have one. Maybe his ear can also be a gill. I'm not sure exactly how the anatomy works, but maybe we can have just a little bit of highlight action here. Tweak that up just a touch. How's that look? I think that's better. We can have some around these areas too. Something like that. I'll probably give him some stripes as well. Let's see if we have, I don't know, maybe an interesting way we can do that. Use this brush. Probably should have used some kind of multiply layer or something, but that doesn't really matter. That's pretty cool. Put some of them on this side too. I think this just isn't working composition wise. Something around this area might be too dark. Yeah, we want the focus to be right around the eye there, so probably keep this. A little bit lower contrast. Okay. Let's grab these highlights again. We do some nice little outlines here. Nice. That water looks pretty cool. Let's go into that again. I feel like this red isn't quite making sense. Oops. Yeah, I love all these streaky waves we have going on over here. All right, thanks, Vera. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. All right, let's create another layer here. I want to do some, maybe a bit more atmosphere. Around here. Just pick like a light blue. Maybe dial that in a little bit. Just create a bit more atmospheric depth going on, and maybe we can even take some of this splashiness and bring it over here. Might be a bit much. Let's just smooth that out a bit. Sort of another way to use the Smudge Tool. It's a bit more demanding on the CPU when you use it at a larger scale, but you can sort of blur things out a bit. And I'm probably going to with that in mind, I'm probably going to brighten up these highlights. So let's just try something here. Brush, please. No? There we go. See what happens when we throw some linear dodge on here. That's a bit too intense. That looks okay though. Maybe just be a bit more directed about it. And probably take that down. I don't know. Maybe instead what I could do, let's select color range. Okay. That's good. It's a little fun little trick. Copy paste. And we can boost our highlights. Oh yeah. And we can even put a little glow around them. I don't know if this will work with this lighting scheme, but Let's use something like that. Yeah, it's kind of works. I mean, at the very least, we can probably use just the values they've created there. I mean, look at that difference. That's amazing. So, but the outer glow looks pretty good. All right, well, we'll keep it there for now. And, all right, what else do we have to do here? Probably. I'm still looking at this outer glow. Let's see if we can maybe tweak that a little bit. Oh yeah, that's probably more of what we want. You can set that to on your dodge. Interesting. I'll leave it off for now. Anyway, let's go back to our background here. There's some fun stuff going on with this wave we can build on. I think we should probably develop this land a bit more. But first, let's make this wave really cool. I don't even know how it's working like that, but it is. That's all we need to know. Boom. All right, let's put some stuff on the landscape here. Just some quick details. They don't have to be that bright necessarily, but this is a great brush for that kind of stuff. Create some variation in the colors, the values. Make it look like this volcano guy is coming up from below. He is one with the wave. Maybe that's all a bit too much. I just ruined it. Well, not ruined, but maybe it was better before. I'll just keep using these wave patterns here. That's cool. It's kind of going with the direction of his neck. Like he's just summoning the wrath of Poseidon. Maybe this is Poseidon. Maybe this is Poseidon in his dragon form. Let's create some splatters. Zoom that over here. Actually, let's put that on this layer. Character making, absolutely. Yeah, I've actually, that's a good idea. I've been focusing a lot on the oh, here's the splatter brush I want to use. Yeah, I've been focusing on the landscapes quite a bit, but I do a lot of character work as well, and I would be happy to make a video on that. Thanks for the request. Alright. I think something about this monster isn't quite doing it for me. So let's go back to his design. Let's see what's up. I think maybe he needs some lost edges. That could be it. So let's go back to see if we can start messing around with some of this stuff. I think maybe it could be he's just too uniformly textured. Maybe his face design isn't quite doing it for me, or I don't know. Let's just mess with him for a while and see if we can improve this. And just keep an eye on things as we go. Maybe it's those highlights. Maybe actually, for some reason, those aren't working for us. It might be it, to be honest. I think they're not quite realistic for some reason. Or maybe just they're not compositionally working. Sometimes I think I often expect there to be sort of like rim lighting on silhouettes when there doesn't need to be, which is a strange thing because I feel like in terms of physics and the way light behaves, it works, but like in terms of design or something like that, it doesn't. It's just another one of those cases where, you know, the design choice isn't necessarily going to be the most realistic thing, but it is going to be best for your painting. So I kind of like the idea of his face just sort of like, I don't know, like coming apart here, or like little bits of smoke and lava just sort of drifting out of his. Yeah, maybe just some trails of smoke or something to give him some loose edges here. make him look sort of titanic. We can switch back to our big, thick, dry brush that we were using for this texture earlier, because it was successful in making some really nice texture here, so I want to keep that. Maybe he should have some... We experimented with some demon horns earlier, so maybe we can try that. I want them to be kind of rough and jagged like the rest of them. That's kind of cool. Maybe overall he has too many shadow values, so I might dial that up a little bit. And then use, because notice that offsets the color a little bit too. He's looking a bit violet now, so I'm going to just push that back towards the red. And of course this hand is, we can just mask that out for now. I'm close to merging these together, but not quite there yet. I might still want to work on that background more. I think there are going to have to be some tweaks for the overall composition maybe, or value scheme. Something isn't quite working about it all, but that can be something we work on at the end there. Value's probably still a bit too dark. Don't want to overdo it with that. Overdo that smoke either. Maybe this, yeah, this other hand is sort of smashing into the ground here. I think overall it's just like there's so many benefits to creating these lost edges, and it's probably time that I start sort of blending him and incorporating him into the background here. I think that's probably where we're headed now. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this layer so we don't lose it, but I'm gonna merge it with the background now so we can do some nice blending. have some of this orange light sort of leaking around and making some clouds down here. There's some spots that are sort of glowing from within down here. Maybe not, that's a bit distracting. I want all this focus to be up at the top around his head. But let's just use this smudge tool though and make some fun little things happening. I love this tool. Yeah, we can smooth out a lot of these lava things. Oh yeah, that's looking cool. I think maybe this is a bit too hard-edged. Sort of just diluting a lot of the focus around other areas on his body. So there's a lot of sharpness around his face. And also there's going to be a lot of heat going on over here. So this is almost imitating like a heat blur sort of effect. I can show you that a little more. If you make this larger, you can sort of create this sort of heat blurring. That's something I just discovered accidentally one time, but when you use the smudge tool like this, you can really looks sort of convincing. Not sure what's going on over here, so I'm just gonna smudge that out. I just realized I want more contrast around his figure here. I want more light catching these clouds in the back, so I'm gonna dial that up. More color and contrast over here. It's probably, again, something one of those things I could have done before I merged the layer down, but it's, we can do it either way. It's not a big deal. Just gonna turn up the mix, lower the load so we can blend some of the smoke and particle effects out. What brush am I using with the Smudge Tool? I just have the just regular Photoshop Smudge Tool settings on. This is just a shape. Let me see here. Yeah, it's just a tip shape that I think it came with Photoshop or some. Maybe it was like a atmospheric brush shape. The Smudge Tool, it's not super important what shape you use, to be honest. I just picked this one because it's sort of flat and horizontal, and it just sort of works well for me. But there's a lot of options, and they all, you know, will more or less do the same thing. You know, unlike the mixer brush tool, which, you know, your different, I feel like your different brush shapes and settings will have a lot more of an impact there. But I'm starting to realize what's sort of throwing me off about this, guys. There's some dark patches around here that maybe I can select with the color range tool that just need some lightening up here. See if that worked. Yeah, that did work. What happened to our dragon, though? It's there. It somehow got put down here. Okay. Whew. Close one. Actually, it might raise his shadow level a little bit too. We can. Yeah, we don't need that glow. Give us some more sharpness and contrast around our main area there. Okay. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was just sort of using our mixer brush tool and sort of smudging out some of these smoky areas here. Probably shape up these horns a little better as well. I'm pretty much just working all in one layer now. Which isn't the best way to tackle this part, but maybe I can smudge them into into shape here. That's probably what I'm going to do. Okay. Let's go back to these areas here. How are we doing? I got an hour and 25 minutes in, and I think we're approaching a point of completion here. Just want to make sure I get these details right. Then maybe we can do a little photo texturing actually for those backgrounds. We'll see. I'm probably going to go over with the linear dodge tool as well, because we're sort of hand painting in a lot of these lighting effects as a base, and which, you know, is good. It's a really good practice to be able to do that in sort of a traditional style, because that's going to get you a lot further than trying to paint it all in after you've mapped out a lot of your details with the linear dodge brush or something. But we are going to go over a lot of that stuff again with the linear dodge brush, just to help reinforce that and help it look a little bit more realistic. So. And that's always the fun part anyway. Notice I haven't even really painted in too many details on the landscape here. And I've done that because I don't need to, really. So not a huge point of focus, but I have included enough sort of suggestions to create an impression, you know. Let's go back to this mountainscape. Sort of, ooh, that's a nice effect with this mixer brush here. It's almost creating some nice mountainous texture there without us having to do much. Notice I don't even have to zoom in very far for that either. It's just sort of appearing from a distance. But yeah, I think I may not have gotten that lava color quite right, so we may end up going over that again, or at the very least I'm probably just going to dial it down a little bit. It's not quite right for the distance, but create some nice fog down here where the lava is sort of By the way, this is the music that I need for this piece. It's really setting the mood here. I love it. I think there's sort of what I would call some color confusion over here. It's sort of a bit dissonant, and I'm hoping I'll be able to resolve that with the linear dodge brush. But if not, there are ways around it. In fact, let's, I think it's about time we put that linear dodge layer to work. So let's bring out our brush tool. Let's use a soft round here. Whoops. And set that to linear dodge. And here we're going to want to use a sort of a dark red almost. So let's see what that's going to do for us right here. Oh yeah. That's what we need. Very epic. So that's what I was telling you about. It's just like you can paint all this stuff in by hand, and it's gonna lay a nice solid groundwork for when you go back and use this effect here. It's really gonna pay off. And I think that's also solving a lot of our color confusion as well. And we can go in and do some little glowy details here as well. Maybe we don't need to, but it's fun. At the very least, we can brighten up these eyes and that mouth. Really make them pop. Maybe I'm overdoing it a little bit. And back here, we can use it for our lava too. I'm just kind of experimenting here now, but I think it looks pretty good overall. I think maybe I'll probably go back in later with and do some overall levels and saturation adjustments, just to make sure that all the focal points are being addressed properly and are getting the right level of focus. We're probably going to want to create some sort of vignette effect around the outside, so that it's all working well for us. I wonder what happens if I move this over a little bit more towards the center. I think it's actually pretty cool. I think that works better, actually. And I don't really see any tearing, except down here, but that's fine. And look at this kind of interesting effect. It's almost like there's some closer waves we have here. So, it doesn't hurt to just like mess around with things. Look at that. You can make them fight each other and everything. That's kind of fun. Alright, let's go back down here and just reinforce that effect a little bit. Let's go back to our big thick wet brush. Create some little tsunamis. Oh yeah, we're gonna wanna I think that's the default load settings there. Maybe I'm missing something. Oh, it could be that outer glow on the other layer there, but maybe I'll paint over that then. Yeah, that's better. Create some darkness over here. Yes, there is a separate linear dodge mode for the brush, and you know the distinction there is when you set your brush on linear dodge mode, you can paint directly into whatever layer you're working on, and it'll just stay in that layer, and it'll create that linear dodge effect. But I like to do my linear dodge effects on a different layer, and when you do that, you have to also set the layer mode to linear dodge mode. Otherwise, it's just going to show up as sort of like opaque pixels, and that's nice because you can sort of experiment non-destructively with different lighting schemes. I like how this guy's got some glow happening here, but I'm probably going to tone that down just a little bit around here. And I'm doing that by erasing away areas that I don't want to have that glow. And what is, I think this, where's this, I think we just have a little bit of a line there. So, I wonder what layer that's on. I guess it's on this one, isn't it? So let's just, there we go. Maybe that's not the right brush for that. Let's go back to our rough comb. Some of that stuff. That looks good. Some nice contrast down there. And note, yeah, like you can see that lighting might be a bit over the top, but you know, once that's another benefit is like you can, once you have that, those linear dodge effects on a different layer, you can drop down the, whoops, not on that layer. You can drop down the opacity and like sort of mess with it, find like an intermediate zone where it's working the best for you. So maybe I can tone it down a little bit, drop that opacity. And so I think one of the last things we're going to want to address here is this foreground, which is just a bit underdeveloped. So I'm just going to sort of create some, just going to vary the shape a little bit. With this, this is an eraser I've included with the brush pack, by the way. It's not anything really complex. You can probably create it yourself, but it's just, it has a really high shape dynamic level, so you can, when you press it really lightly, you create this, this nice sharp little edge that you can use to sort of carve out specific details. from your silhouette, which is what I use it for. So I'm just using a combination of that and this brush tool and the smudge tool, and we're just gonna make this whole area a bit more dynamic, a bit more interesting, a bit more textured. $200 to 300 layers, huh? Yeah, that's certainly non-destructive. I couldn't do that. In fact, this is probably more layers than I usually would end up using. I mean, I guess the more like more complex a piece is in terms of like physical distance and overlapping objects, the more layers I'll use generally. But yeah, I've seen videos of people using that method where you just kind of keep building up on top of it with different layers and just keep painting. And I guess it's kind of like a form of like constantly saving your progress in a way. But yeah, I mean, whatever works for you. You know, everyone has their own workflow. You know, personally, I just I find it just simplifies everything and simplifies my whole process when I'm working on a single layer. And it sort of makes me a bit more accountable too. Like I have to really, excuse me, I have to really think about the choices that I'm making and how they're going to impact the piece. And, you know, and I have to commit to an idea sort of whenever I want to implement it. Nice, got some nice texture going on over there, so let's just do the same thing quickly on this side. I was gonna incorporate some photo textures, but I don't know. I don't know if it needs it really at this point. I mean, nothing ever really needs it, but it can be cool when it's done right. But I mean, I guess if you're trying to make something really realistic, that can be super useful, but can also go the other way. And I think with like this far along in a piece, I probably would avoid using it just because I've hand painted out so many details, and sometimes that can clash with the textures you put down. But I mean, I've been thinking about doing that more in my work. I mean, if for no other reason than you know, the kind of stuff you see that really blows up on social media and that kind of thing does tend to be a lot more like realistic and highly detailed, and it's much easier to do that when you're photo bashing stuff, or using photo textures. But I don't know, I kind of prefer just painting things out and using these sort of loose textures and that kind of stuff. So you can even make some closer trees over here, you know, sort of help us frame our corners a bit. Some sort of pointing up at our dragon over here. This brush is really cool because it's tilt sensitive, so I can turn it sideways and do stuff like this, or I can turn it the other way, and it's really useful. I actually have a great brush for making trees like this. It always reminds me of Bob Ross. It's just the brush dab brush. You kind of just like dab them into existence. can use our smudge tool to just pop out the top like that. It's kind of cool. But I don't know, that's a lot of contrast around there actually. So maybe I'll dial that back. And there's a lot of value issues with this right now, so we're gonna probably address that in the final stage. I almost feel like this one, if we copy and paste that, get rid of that glow layer because that's too much. I think we can bring up the highlights around his face up. I mean, maybe even all of them like that. So that's, I didn't do this intentionally, but it's kind of cool the way the path leads us around here over to this high contrast area, which then takes us up over here, over to this guy, and then his gaze kind of brings us over here. There's a lot of great flow happening here, and if you're interested in learning more about that, of course you can check out the video I made on flow. It's on my channel here. I talk a lot about how you can set up relationships like that within your painting. For now, I think we can take down the levels of this overall. And for this background, could probably use more highlights. Wait a minute. What happened? Also, what is this? Oh, that was my backup. I guess I don't need that anymore. Where did my... Oh, I put it underneath. I don't know why I keep doing that. Okay, let's try that again. I want to take my highlights for the background, bring them up. We can lower the darkness overall. I guess that's cool. It's a little intense. But maybe we can do that and then take down... Yeah. Take down our linear dodge layer a tad. Maybe erase out some of this glowiness down here because it's a bit distracting. Well, I guess it's kind of okay. It's just very saturated, but we're gonna... Yeah, I think overall this piece needs some adjustments in terms of values and everything. Do I ever use Sharpen Filters? Yes, I do. It's a very particular look, and you can definitely overdo it, but yeah, I do. I actually it can really bring some nice intensity to your painting. Just sort of creating a bit more flow here. Maybe I can do a similar thing that's happening as what's happening on the other side there with the sort of flowy waves going up the side. That's just going to help redirect our flow up around this corner. It's not necessarily realistic, but it's looks cool. And in this world, you can really make anything happen. Still almost feel like, yeah, like the outer glow is a bit too much. Let's, I also think this guy's shadows are still a bit too dark. He looks too close. So maybe if we do something like that. And then we can push his shadows towards the blue a bit more, perhaps. That looks a little fake. But I think that works okay. I feel like, I don't know, let's just try something real quick. I don't know if this is gonna work. But let's go back to our linear dodge layer. I actually just made a new one, but let's try something here. Let's see, what can we use? Let's just start out with this. See what happens. Select so blue. First, let's see if we can give him some glowy eyes. That's pretty sweet. Well, not if it gets totally washed out, but maybe it isn't sweet. All right, but and let's make sure we set the brush on linear dodge mode. Could do some. Gotta make the sound effects. Let's try that again. Oh man. She's like putting out his fire, you know. I will get to that procrastination question in just a minute. It's actually a really great question. First, what do we think of this? What do we think of this jet of, I don't know, I guess it's water or blue fire. It might, I don't know if it totally works actually. Maybe if we drop the saturation down. Actually, well, I don't know. I'll see what you guys think. Let's see. Kill Chard is asking, how do you handle / deal with procrastination? If I stop it, it can lead to weeks or even months before I get back into things. All right, so that's a great question, and I'm actually working on a video that addresses that specifically. I talk a little bit about that in my auto drawing video, where I talk about, you know, strategies you use to create a daily practice. But for me, that's the key is you make sure you're sitting down and painting for a set amount of time, in a realistic and feasible amount of time every day. And so if you're talking about procrastinating on developing a single piece, you can make sure you have a single day of the week devoted to, or, on that day you work on sort of backlogged projects. If you're talking about procrastinating painting in general, you definitely need to start some kind of daily practice. I mean, every single day, even if it's just like 10 minutes, like mine is 30 minutes every day, outside of, commissions and other projects and anything of skill development, of isolated skill development. And so, tackling different weak points every day or having a different focus. So I know every day I'm putting in the time and being consistent about it and mapping that to a specific time of the day and so on and so forth. So, procrastination isn't really possible if you have that habit, those routines worked into your day. But I'm definitely going to be creating another video about that soon, so keep an eye out. I might just create part 2 of that auto drawing video and sort of carry on and talk a little bit about that. All right, so let's get back to this. Boiling steam. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a bit too much. I think there's just too much going on in this picture. So I think one of the things I'm gonna do here is, oops, I just grabbed my real pen. I don't want to do that. I want to kind of do something with his face here. Maybe give him some teeth, or whoops, I'm working on the wrong layer, aren't I? It's this one, yes. First, let's create some flowiness here. I don't know. I feel like his face design is kind of weird. But I don't know, maybe it's just small enough where it doesn't matter too much. Maybe I'll put some of those highlights down here, some teeth, something like that. Maybe just on the bottom. Yeah, that kind of works. He could have some kind of beard or something, or maybe he's just dripping water. That would be sweet. And I think I didn't even think of that. That can be a really sweet effect. He's just come out of the... He's just jumped out of the river here. He's dripping. Same thing down here. Can't believe I didn't think of that earlier. We have some of it sort of going down the sides here. Have some sort of flying off his fins. Oh yeah, and that'll also, you can also have a nice reflective outline kind of around the edge here. Yeah, pretty epic. More water underneath him. No. I think it's fine. There's some pretty high contrast right around here, but I'm probably I guess I could probably tone that down a bit, because it is sort of competing with our focal point. But I think he's got plenty of water under him. All right, so let's. I feel like there's something about him that's just looking a little unrealistic, but maybe I'll go in with a mixer. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take everything, I'm gonna copy paste it, merge it, just in case we want to go back and edit something. But right now I'm just gonna be working on all one layer here. So I think maybe what I'm seeing is that they're just some spots where the edges are a bit too hard. So I'm just gonna sort of, and I think part of that is just about edge control, and part of it is about the scale. I mean, I want this guy to look like he's really sort of big. So I think I just need to sometimes, just to simplify things for myself, I just need to like sort of lose some of these edges, especially like, you know, some of these highlights here I think could just be sort of smushed out. And yeah, if you're afraid to go in like this with your own piece, you know, just do what I did, copy paste it, put it all on one layer here. But I don't know, I've just grown to sort of trust my instincts when it comes to this, so don't have too much of a problem with just going in and painting over all this stuff, all these hard lines and everything. And I might be overdoing it a little bit, but I think I'm not. Just looks a lot more, looks like there's a lot more motion, a lot more dynamics here. It's really drawing a lot of attention to our focal point around his head. Can use our smudge tool and draw some of these out. Mess with the landscape a bit. I just like going in like this, and after everything's all flattened out, and just messing around, you know. Seeing what kind of stuff I can create just by pushing the pixels around. think you might need some texture. So we can go in with our light spatter brush, especially around these highlight areas, and just spatter them in. So it looks a bit more gritty, you know. Can do that on the dark side here too. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, so overall final touches. Hang on a sec. First, I just kind of messed this up a little bit. Let me just go back to my pencil. Just clean up some of these spots that I just mucked up. All right, yeah, final touches. So I'm going to copy and paste this whole layer, and I'm going to bring down the highlight range down like this, and I'm going to bring down the saturation as well. So these are going to be the boring parts of our painting. Now I'm going to take a mask layer, and with our soft round brush, paint away areas that we want to see more of. It's definitely these guys all along here. Some of this stuff here. Maybe a bit of this. And some of this. Our pathway. And we can always hit X and switch our brush and then paint those areas back in. But it's looking pretty good. Notice how it's just the dynamics are a lot more smooth, and there's a lot more focus. We can even, yeah, we can just do a comparison here. Look at the difference. I can probably paint out some of this stuff here. So there's just some nice bright things going on. You know, it's up to you. And we can even do the copy and paste this. Actually, no. Let's copy and paste that original layer, and do the opposite. So we can punch up those highlights even more, or our saturation, for example. Or bring up our shadows even more. Bring down our highlights just a little bit. So now we have this really high intensity layer here. So the difference becomes even more apparent. Now we can sort of mess around with this a little bit more. Don't want it to look too artificial. But we do want to create some nice contrast and some nice movement around the piece. That's kind of cool with this glowing up here. You can just keep messing around with it, you know, keep switching back and forth between your black and your white. And I actually kind of want to take, whoops. Let's take this tree layer, copy paste that. So I feel like there needs to be something sort of balancing out the, flip that horizontally. Something sort of balancing out this side as well. Maybe. Just warp that a little bit. Nobody will know. You can darken that up. It's just an idea. We don't have to stick with this, but we can erase out some bits from that. Something like that. Just comparing these two. I almost feel like this could be a bit darker, perhaps. Go back to that mask layer. I think mainly I just want to section off a lot of these edges. I'm still just sort of messing around with it. Alright, take care, boy wizard, and thank you for joining me once again. I'll catch you on the next one. Alright, well, I think this is pretty close to being done, if not completely done here. So, yeah, this has been a fun one, man. Lots of cool stuff going on here. Might have overcomplicated the whole thing a bit, but you know, it's a cool piece. Thanks, guys, so much for giving me the idea for this one. And I think maybe there's one more thing we can do here. Let's just create another linear dodge layer. And do a fun little, let's just create some light beams coming off of that sun there. Something like that. Maybe not quite so saturated, but I actually do have a brush for this, don't I? Let's check it out. Light beam. Pew. Look at that. Maybe change the color up just a little bit. That works pretty well. Actually, maybe I liked it better before. Boom, look at that. Pretty epic, guys. All right, so thanks once again for joining me here. You know, if you're just seeing this for the first time, I do this every Sunday, 12 p.m. I'm also coming out with videos now every Wednesday, so be sure to check those out. Keep an eye out for that. Hit the bell so you get notifications about those. And all right, let's just zoom in here, take another look at this. All right, hope you all take care.